Are you ready to go into the deepest, darkest recesses of your closet? Because after all, clothes make the man. I'm Bruce Apar, and you're watching Hudson Valley WXYZ with Bruce the Blog. Hudson Valley WXYZ with me, Bruce the Blog, is brought to you by Chase Media Group, and we always like to thank the CEO, Carla Chase, and also Frank J. Rich for producing the show. And it's a weekly program that brings you outstanding citizens from the area, from the lower Hudson Valley primarily, who are making unique contributions to our quality of life. And we also like to explore topics and ideas and issues that are of interest to us all. And I also want to remind you that you can watch the program, you can watch all of the programs on YouTube by searching for any of the following names: Townlink TV, or Hudson Valley WXYZ, or Bruce the Blog. So at the beginning of the show, what I was wearing, by the way, are my own clothing props, you might say, that I wear all the time. I wear this hat almost every day, actually, until it gets to be like 70, 80 degrees maybe. And I have to go look for a straw hat, I realized, a summer hat. Or in the old days, they used to call one style of those hats boaters. You know, the straw hat, the boaters that you'd see in some of the old movie musicals that they'd wear, like Rudy Valley was in them, stuff like that. And I also always love wearing scarves, again, until it gets a little bit too warm to wear them. And one of my friends, Tony Fusco, teases me when he sees me wearing the scarf like I was at the beginning of the show. He'll go, "Where's Waldo?" Because he thinks I look like Waldo. And I want to welcome our guest, Jennifer Toronto. Jennifer, who is an independent personal stylist, right? And as I was goofing around at the beginning of the show, as I tend to do at the beginning of each show, based on what the theme is, we're going to be talking, this is going to be very interesting, we're going to be talking about men's fashion and men's style. And if you think that that's a short conversation, you will soon see you are way off base, because there is so much to talk about. We're not even going to get to all of it, I can guarantee you, in this one episode, but we could always have Jennifer back. Jennifer, you work for J. Hilburn, right?
Correct.
And how would you describe J. Hilburn as a company and what it offers, its services?
J. Hilburn is basically bringing back the idea of bespoke, and we go directly to our clients. We try to save them time and money by going directly to their office or their home. We also try to wardrobe them and take away the drudgery of going to the mall or shopping or online and returns. We come and we take personal measurements so that we can make sure the items fit them properly, and also that they can pick and choose the styles as they like. Like I told you, we have 16 different collar choices, 8 different cuffs. It's endless, and
right.
Two people can have the same fabric and a completely different shirt. So
right.
we offer that as well.
And by the way, we are going to see several images as we go through the show, and we'll get to those. But like when you mentioned the 16 different collar choices, whoever thought there could be 16 different collar styles. One thing I want to do, though, very quickly, Jennifer, is when you mentioned the word bespoke. Now, for some reason, for whatever reason, in the deepest, darkest recesses of my mind, I associate that word, well, it's not for some reason, it's for a good reason, with British, because that's sort of where it emanates from. But for the benefit of our audience, bespoke, speaking of bespoke, it's not a word you hear every day, of course. And so I went online, as we do these days when we want to look up anything and research anything. And very quickly, one of the definitions is bespoke, so it's B-E-S-P-O-K-E, is an adjective for anything commissioned to a particular specification. That's one of the definitions that I found online. It may be altered or tailored to the customs, tastes, or usage of an individual purchaser, who are the clients that you deal with. And then they have synonyms are custom made, made to order, et cetera, et cetera. And the antonyms, which also are useful to know in terms of knowing the context of bespoke. The opposite of bespoke is when you go into a store, a department store, a clothing store, and take it off the shelf, ready to wear. That's the opposite of what Jennifer does, which is totally tailors clothing to the individual, based not only on their measurements, but on their taste, their profession, perhaps, right? All of those things go
Social
into
needs,
it. I mean, isn't
professional
that
needs.
true? That you sort of have to get to know the client before you could really make the right choices.
We do. We ask them a lot of questions, which is like the most important out of our first. What are your social needs? What are your professional? Where do you like to
Right.
go? What do you like to do? What do you do on the weekends? Do you have black tie? Do you have,
Right.
do you go out with friends? Do you out to dinner? That kind of stuff, because then we can tailor their wardrobe to their lifestyle.
Right. And I would imagine that, not that you have a typical client, but that on average your clients probably are fairly active people, right? But like you're saying, they do things on the weekend, they have whatever their profession might be, but then even weekday nights they may be going to meetings with clients or doing whatever the social activities.
Right.
And so wardrobe is very important to them. It's not just functional, in terms of, we get dressed every day and go out, but it's making a statement, right? Isn't
Right.
it?
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the phrases that I found interesting is professional wardrobe, and some of the material that we were looking at before that. A gentleman, in the formal language, a gentleman's professional wardrobe, you were saying there are some very specific elements and almost like quotas. So talk about that a little bit, because it's fascinating how many shirts you should have and how many pair of pants.
Well, I do. I have a little bit of a cheat sheet that I
Right.
like to follow, which I can show the viewers.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of what I like to start my clients off with if they're looking to actually build a wardrobe and have something what a
Right.
gentleman should have in his closet. And it starts with, your navy suit, and it works into your grays, and then you get into your stripes, your navy pinstripe suit, then your gray pinstripe suit, and then into like your Glen plaids, and then you get into fancies. That's after you're sort of building your wardrobe. And then, with dress shirts, 4 white shirts, 4 blue shirts, 3 checks, 3 solids, and you should have a rotating, week's worth are in the cleaners, you should have another 7 in your closet, and
Right.
rotating them around. One of this is hard and true, but it's not you go to the store and you buy 4 white shirts, 4 blue shirts. They are all very different. Your white shirt can be, a stretch fabric, it can be a twill fabric, it can be a basket weave. There's so many different things that a white shirt's not just a white shirt.
Right.
You can have a button down, you can have a cutaway, you can have a French cuff. So you have 4 white shirts, but they're not the same shirt. It's not cookie cutter like that. So
Right. And speaking of French cuffs, do you have clients that favor those? Are they popular, French
We
cuffs?
do.
I mean, just for everyday wear.
We actually have what I find very interesting is the convertible cuff, which is not something that most people know what that is. It gives the wearer the ability to wear it just like a regular button shirt,
Right.
but then you unbutton it and you turn the cuff the other way and you button it through so it works as a French, and then you can also leave it unbuttoned and put a cuff link through it for even dressier. So you actually can wear it both ways. So if you're in the office, feel that the French cuff is too dressy
Right.
for your everyday, even if you're in a board meeting or, you know, making a presentation, it's still a little too fancy. But
Right.
then right from there, you have to go to
Go
a
out
dinner,
and-
you
oh,
have to
yeah.
go, you can quickly just convert it, and it's no different charge.
So when you're wearing that kind of cuff, a bipolar cuff, so the extra flap that you would use
There's no
for-
extra flap.
Oh,
It's just the way you button it. You button
Oh.
it over this way, and then you unbutton it and you button it through this way.
Oh, okay. Oh.
It's no extra fabric at all. It's really, really very simple
Now
to
something
do.
like that.
You can actually YouTube it, and you can see.
Oh,
It'll walk
YouTube
you
it?
through
Yeah,
it. You
right.
can walk
Oh,
you through
okay.
the steps of how to work a convertible.
So I mean, I'm not that familiar with that kind of cuff. Is that something I would find in a store, or is it or
Very,
not?
very
Oh,
rare. No,
yeah, I mean, I've
no,
never seen that or
not
heard of it.
really.
Not that I'm all up to date on fashion in that sense.
But we do offer, you know, a mitered cuff and a round cuff square, just
Right.
basic. We offer the French cuff in the square, the mitered, the round, and then we also offer the convertible with the option. So some
Right.
people never wear French, so to them, there's no need for that. Even though there's no extra charge, it's just something that they could do or not do.
Right.
You still have the option to not have it, or you have
Yeah.
the option to just have the
No, I
French.
think that is a great idea because it happens to me sometimes. I'll maybe pull out a shirt that I want to wear, and then I'll see, oh, I forgot this has a French cuff, and you know, depending how much of a rush you're in, to go, oh no, now I have to go and get a cuff link, get the cuff links out, and
Right.
yeah, so that is a very smart idea to have it to be that versatile.
Right.
And Richard, I'm talking, by the way, if your name is Richard watching, that's okay too. But in this case, I'm referring to the director, Richard. That you know the image of the collars, the 16 collar styles. If you could just start to put that up, I just wanted to show everybody that. But and in terms of the clients that you do have, Jennifer, you mentioned there's something that I had never heard of this. It applies obviously to anybody, regardless of what line of business they may be in, and trying to drum up prospects, you know, customers. The Frank list. So just go like what the Frank is an acronym.
Right. Basically, we keep a running list all the time in our car, in our phone, of what we call the Frank list, and it stands for your friends, your relatives, your associates, your neighbors, and the K is for kids if you have them, or if you're a dog or cat, kennel people that you meet.
That's
so
great.
it's pretty much a list of people that you run into your everyday life, and it's changing all the time, and through them you might meet other people, but you know, we basically call it our Frank list.
Okay. I know sometimes with my wife, Elise, like she'll leave for work early in the morning and I'll leave later, and she'll see me then at the end of the day and she'll look at me, you know, we've all heard this expression before, like, who dressed you this morning? Which obviously it wasn't her. And she'll say, you know, that, like I like to wear pocket squares actually. This one, I'm very conservative, so I put on a black pocket square with a black shirt and this very dark jacket. But other times I might have a different color pocket square or with a tie, and that doesn't go. I mean, are there hard and fast rules with the color coordination?
I think the best thing to do is one trick is best. If you're going to have a crazy pocket square, you keep the other things kind of simple. If you have a ladder tie, you keep the pocket square. You can have all of them. You can wear, obviously, a tie, a pocket square, your shirt. It's just not a loud, crazy tie and a loud, crazy pocket square and a loud, crazy pattern in your shirt. Just let one of them speak, and the other ones kind of take a back seat.
Oh,
and
okay.
it kind of pulls the whole thing together. And you always want to keep it, for the most part, in a similar color story, or something that sort of is in the same family that kind of works together, you know, and you pick up the colors in the shirt, in the tie, into the paisley in your pocket square. If your pocket square is solid, you're sort of picking up one of the colors in your shirt or your tie. If your tie is paisley and got a lot of colors going on, you can pick up the purple but make it solid, not another purple flowered thing going on, I guess.
Of course, if you're colorblind, as my wife claims I am, you know, I'll say, there's red in that. No, there's not any red in that.
Most men are colorblind, and that's
is
why
that true?
Most men
Is
are
that
colorblind.
a clinical evaluation, or is that?
Yes, and most of my clients are. And
Seriously?
That's,
I mean,
really?
yes,
and that's why they need
I'm
stylists. They don't know. Like my father was like, is this blue? Is this brown? Is this green?
Really, I'm going to have to ask my ophthalmologist the next time I see him. But now, so I'm wearing, like in this case, so I'll be a guinea pig. So like I put on a black pocket square. For whatever reason, I just thought, again, I'm conservative with how I dress. Would you recommend a different color with what else I'm wearing?
We would consider it probably a more safe choice.
This is?
Yes.
Yeah, this
that
is
you're
basic black.
not really kind of putting yourself out there.
Right.
And then
I
other
put
people-
myself out there in other ways, so I don't.
Right. So if you wanted to, maybe take it to the next step, maybe you would have, a pocket square that had black in it.
Okay.
That was maybe a pattern. It could be a very subtle one. It could be
okay.
like a neat, which is a very tiny little thing. It could be
A what?
It's called a neat, which is like sort of like
N-E-A-T?
a regimented,
Right.
like little dot kind
Oh,
of
I
thing.
see.
These are
Neat.
called
Okay.
neats,
Right.
which maybe has the base of it is black or the
Right.
pattern on it is black, which brings out repeats
Right.
the black in your shirt, but not solid to solid.
Right.
That's more safe, but not wrong. But if you wanted to take it to the next level, but you were like timid or you wanted to keep it more conservative, then it's just like a next little
Right.
step
So
up.
actually, I came well prepared. In my inside pocket, I have these other pocket squares. So, I mean, what about white? Is white too much?
You could do white. I would say you could also do black with maybe a white trim on the edge.
Right.
Where it
Okay, I
pops
see
the
what you're saying.
black.
Right, just to mix it up. yeah.
Or you could do
Yeah.
the white with the black trim on the
Right.
edge, or maybe it has like pattern on it. Because again, you're doing two solids, and then the white solid might be like your eye's going to go right to that white
Okay,
and
so
right to the black.
little much.
Versus like kind of like subtly, you want it to sort of all blend together, not
Right.
unless you.
So I guess red would be like people would think I'm a stop sign or something.
Well, you
like
could do the red if you were going to have, say, something red in your tie or a
Right.
red vest or something, then it would sort of coordinate back. But then again, to just have that red, your eye's going to go.
Yeah, right there,
Red.
right. So,
Right.
yeah. Well, something if you're at, as you and I actually met at a networking event, so to me, if you have at a networking event and you have your name badge in red, then they're going to look at your name.
Right.
Right, your name badge will be right here. But in
Kind of
any
like the
case,
bowl in the red.
Right. So Richard, he has up or ready to put up the collar choices, and it's on the left, if I'm not mistaken, right? The left side of
Yes.
that booklet. Yeah. So it just struck me as like, who knew there were 16, count them, 16 different styles of collars. I mean, what is popular today in terms of collars? That's okay, Richard. I think you can take it down now. I feel like we're studying for like the SATs or something.
There are ones that definitely sell more than others, and like you had spoken before about the bespoke being like a British term, I do
Right.
have a British client who bought one of the British round collars when I first started, and I would get some of my samples and I was showing some of the other men. They were like, I don't like that at all.
I know, it's fun. That, and that
Little
is, isn't
white
that
rounded
very
Peter Pan.
British? Yeah.
It was a pink, beautiful shirt. It looked stunning on him. It was a
Right.
pink, like a bright pink
Right.
Oxford shirt, and he had a white rounded collar on it that most men could not pull off. But he was British. He was 6'3", and he owned that shirt,
Right,
and
yeah.
it was stunning. But if you showed it in a box to an American man, he's like, I don't know about that one. But we do sell mostly spread collars, cutaway collars. We have full cutaway, which is a little bit more straight across. And
Right.
it's more, again, it's actually what's trending now are the button down again, but we have what's called our modern spread and our modern button down, which is actually narrower. So it's less collar on you. So
Right.
it's an updated button down collar. And most of the time people don't like to wear ties with button downs. Now that's sort of what's trending is the button down with
Yeah, and that's
with
what
the
I
tie.
like. I really like button-down collars.
And
Yeah.
people went away from that for a while. The cutaway and the spread are the differences is like if you just want your collar to come to the knot of your tie versus seeing the sides of your tie. And some people like it's a little bit more unbuttoned to have your tie a little loose, see that, and you see
And
more
that's
of that.
that's very in vogue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like especially with young people, like
Yeah.
that sort of very studied, casual look, right?
Exactly. Well, they're mixing the highs and the lows. They're putting
Yeah.
the denim
Right.
with the jacket, and it's the high and low. But you don't want to look, even with our bow ties, which are very popular with younger people too, and they're wearing dress trousers. It's the self-tied one because you don't want it to be perfect.
Right.
It's that sort
Yeah,
of
right,
like
right.
you're not
It's-
trying
yeah,
too
right,
hard. You don't
right.
you want it to look like it's ease of it.
Right. It's funny. Years ago, with somebody that I had been married to at the time. Sorry, Elise, I'm just bringing it up for the purpose of the show. This is before
Get me in
Elise.
trouble.
But anyhow, my first wife is what I'm trying to say in my stumbling way. She had a very interesting coinage, and this is going back to like the 70s. For people in that era, some of the clothing style, similar to what you're describing now, Jennifer, was, this look that almost like you were dressing down on purpose. So her phrase was, maybe wasn't her phrase, but she picked it up, nouveau riche, meaning, people could afford a lot better than what it looked like they were wearing,
Right.
but there was a certain hipness at the time to looking like a little shabby.
Right.
It was that time. Remember, dungaree jackets were very big and things like that. And that's coming back now too with Richard, our director, was mentioning this, how with some of the jeans, how they're purposely distressed, or they have holes in them, or rips in them, and that they're sold that way, right? I
Right.
mean, that's so. Anyways, there's no accounting for style sometimes, but something you were saying, Jennifer. I want to get another image up on the screen. Richard, this is the one where it shows the gentleman, the model, in 4 different wardrobes across the 2-page spread. If you can prepare to get that one up. But what you were just talking about a minute ago are different looks. Just the same theme about you could look,
The highlight.
really fancy, or wearing some of the same elements of your wardrobe. Here we go. Or you can look very casual and hip, and I was asking you in preparing for the show, differences between the East Coast, fashion trends and how people dress on the West Coast, where I used to go to LA all the time for business, and there definitely is a difference in the way people
Yes.
dress. I mean, when I go to LA, and especially in the movie business that I was involved with, nobody wears ties. It's like if you wear a tie, they look at you like, what, are you going to a funeral? Like, what's, like, really?
Right.
I mean, that's not even a joke. That's almost true. They'd say,
Right.
like, are you going to a funeral? Because why are you wearing a tie? So here's an example of the same, now this is the same jacket.
Yes.
So he has the left side, the far left is a suit, right?
Right. And then
And so it used to be, I remember, they would actually say, don't wear a suit jacket alone. The theory being, the conventional wisdom was, because if you wear a suit jacket too much alone, it will start to fade in comparison to the suit pants, and when you wear them together, do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But now that's sort of a canard that's no longer abided by, I guess, right? This shows you can wear your suit jacket any number of ways.
Right. Well, hopefully you're wearing the suit and the pant different, just as much, so you're washing them just as much, because they should be worn somewhat
Right.
together.
Together, right.
And then the jacket has more versatile maybe than the pant, but then you can wear the pant with just a shirt on its own too. So,
Right.
you want to make sure that you do. You don't want to ignore the pant and then keep laundering the jacket. So then maybe you will get
Well,
some
right. Well, yeah,
discoloration.
right. I guess right. That's true. I
Right.
mean, it's not going to fade if you don't keep laundering it. If you just wear it,
Right, right.
But here, again, apropos of, let's say, East Coast, West Coast, or you could say it's in terms of geography in the United States. There's obviously cultural differences in the way people dress North and South, and Midwest versus the coast,
Right.
and on and on. So here, in the third image, or the second from the, okay, thank you. I'm looking at myself and I'm saying, second from the right, he's wearing a suit jacket with jeans. And I know that's a popular look, right? A
Right.
sport jacket with jeans. And then in the far right, he has white, like chinos sort of on, white pants.
Right.
So yeah,
Sweater.
so that's an example of the versatility, right, of
Yeah.
different pieces in your wardrobe. And then, Richard, if you could prepare to also to put up next the before and after, because I wanted to get into that too. And what would you say, Jennifer, from your experience, influences like your clients or people in terms of fashion? I mean, we all know movies are very big in terms of what can start a trend, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were mentioning the movie The Judge with Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Duvall, and Robert Downey Jr. plays a lawyer, and you noticed
Right.
the arc of his clothing throughout the movie and how it
Right.
changed based on the plot line, basically,
Right,
right? What was
right.
going on in the movie determined what he was wearing and looked like.
Right.
But I know Mad Men obviously has had a very profound influence.
Right.
And again, like I was saying, I like hats, but I find fewer and fewer men wear hats. But in Mad Men, of course, in the 50s and 60s, it's really more the 60s in Mad Men. You know, I remember there were some scenes in the early part of the series where, and it became almost like a signature of the series, like they'd show men coming into Grand Central Station in a group scene, and every one of them had a hat on. Every one, right?
Yeah.
And
It's like
so,
a lost.
I'm sorry?
I think it's a little bit of a lost art, but I think in the spring summer with the straw hat you were talking about, that bowler hat, I think that has been trending a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for younger people, they're a little bit in the summertime. Those are coming back, not so much as the the heavier one that you wear in the winter months,
Right.
which would be nice to see too. But
Yeah.
so far, hasn't quite swung all the way back, but the pendulum's swinging.
Right. I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, it's really encouraging in its own way that young people are becoming more fashion conscious in that way.
Right.
Because I think it says a lot about their generation, that there's a certain amount of confidence, right, that
Right.
goes along with it.
Yeah.
I don't know, are you familiar with a few years ago when Facebook went public and Mark Zuckerberg, who's right from here in Westchester, right? And Mark Zuckerberg showed up at the stock exchange for his initial public offering, which obviously is a very ceremonious event, wearing a hoodie, sweatshirt, and he took a lot of flack for that.
Right.
I mean, what are your thoughts about something like that? Now, here is like one of the richest people in the world. How old is he now? In his 30s? Or I don't even know
Right,
if he's
I think 30s,
30-ish.
yeah.
And I mean, again, there are other very unfortunate things associated with hoodies. I don't want to get
Right,
into,
right.
but I mean, very, very, very bad things in terms of victimization and however you want to look at it. And so Mark Zuckerberg, who's a huge, brilliant success story, so I mean, do you think that that's a good thing, bad thing, or it doesn't matter?
I think probably it was more to not project this like persona of snobbery. Maybe he's just an everyday guy and he just happened to come up with a good idea,
yes,
and he was just trying to say, I put my pants on like everyone else. I think he was meant to do it as like to be endearing and warm to his viewers versus like to project something that was like negative or that he's like a like a thug. I think he was just trying to say this is how like people who work from home, you can work in your pajamas, you're just as successful. But I guess there's a time and a place, and people are starting to dress up again. The three-piece suit and vests, people are image conscious again, and I think maybe at that he should have maybe shown that he's success and he's did something great, and he's in front of people and should have maybe stepped it up. But I think the thought was to just kind of be like, that's how Casual Friday came about. All these successful people were like, I'm the same as everybody else, and I can be successful and do a great job, and I don't have to like intimidate you with a three-piece suit and a power suit.
Right. No, I think that's a very diplomatic answer for one thing, but I agree with you that he would have taken flack no matter what he did. If he got dressed up, they'd say, well, now he's being pretentious and he's selling out, and on and on.
Right,
so
you can't win.
Right, you
You're
can't.
Successful,
you can't win.
people
Well, in
wanna
his
find-
case, I think he won. I think he's won big time, but that's another matter.
Right.
No, thanks very much, Jennifer. This has been great. I mean, like I said, we could have gone on for another hour. There's so much that we could talk about. And next time we'll have to get to the before and after, which we haven't to. And I want to thank Jennifer, Toronto independent personal stylist. And thank you for watching. And remember, when Bruce the Blog listens, people talk. Thanks for watching Hudson Valley WXYZ, or Z, as the British say.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. As you can see.